How's Chandler doing? Any update on him?
He's doing good. He was out at practice yesterday. Obviously didn't participate, but looked good. Says he's feeling good. Today will be another day going through the protocol, but he's exercising, which is a positive, and we're hopeful that by tomorrow we'll have him back in practice.
This was the first time in more than 2 months that your guys had to deal with a loss. What did you notice from the group when you got back together Monday?
They owned it and ready to go back to work. Obviously disappointed. All of us are disappointed. Don't like that feeling. But I felt like the guys responded the right way, and that's really all you can do. And we talk a lot about Mindset Monday being about the mindset, regardless of the result on Saturday. You have to own the mistakes, correct them. Try not to get too high on the positives, but figure out a way to continue to build upon them. And then you got to get your eyes forward. So when we come in, we have a big windshield graphic because it's always about what's ahead. So disappointed, but at the same time too, we understand that there was a lot that we could have controlled in the game that we didn't, and ultimately we owned and we earned the result that we got.
Question about the sliding rule for quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's there so they don't take all the bumps and bangs but it does leave them very prone to big shots. Do you have any concern just about the construction of that rule?
I like the fact that they have protection when they go to slide. It's a slippery slope. Looking at the play, I think all of us initially, thought there should have been maybe some additional penalties, but I trust that the folks that reviewed it in Charlotte, got it right. I don't think it was a malicious play. I don't think they were intended to try and hurt the quarterback. It's a tough deal because the defenders, they're trying to fight for every yard and stop forward progress, and then the quarterback slides down. So I'm sure they'll review it. I don't have a big issue with it. I've actually instructed Chandler to slide, to get down in those situations because if he goes head first, then obviously you got the possibility of landing on shoulders and also taking a hit to the head going forward and then sliding there. You would hope that with the slide, guys would be able to respond in time so that you don't get hit.
And then another kind of big picture question, but the ACC with the expanded, all the extra teams, getting rid of divisions, the unbalanced schedule. When you start getting into, and I know you don't focus on this, but you start getting into the tiebreaker talk, a couple of coaches have pointed out that tiebreakers are tough because you're playing that unbalanced schedule. Do you have any concerns that maybe an unintended consequence of the expansion is some pretty funky tiebreaker scenarios?
I don't, because at the end of the day, when we get our schedule, we got an opportunity, right? And if you don't want to be in a tiebreaker, then you control what you can control. And that was my message to the guys. Like for us, we created some separation in October, and what we did is we lost some of that separation, but we still got an opportunity to control what's in front of us. We got 2 games left in league play, and we take care of our business. Then I think we'll be in a position to be considered or possibly earn an opportunity to get in. So, man, I don't really want to spend time worrying about that. What I want to focus on is how do you win all your ACC games. I think if you win all your ACC games, then you're going to have an opportunity to be in Charlotte. Plus that stuff is too complicated. Even though I'm a math guy, it hurts my brain. So I gotta focus on getting the team ready to play, not what the tiebreaker scenarios are.
If the engineer can't figure it out.
Yeah, I don't even. It's too complicated.
Any status update on Jaden Thomas and Noah Vaughn and those guys?
Yeah, so we're hopeful that Noah Vaughn and JT could hopefully be back for the last game. They're going to be out this week and maybe sprinkle back into practice next week. Same thing with Wigington. Those high ankle sprains. Our medical staff's doing an outstanding job because those are typically 6-week type deals, and so we could possibly have them back soon. But that's the target date on those 3. And Wallabaugh, similar situation after the ankle surgery, just kind of getting him back. So we're hopeful that all those ankle guys will be ready to go, by Tech, and we're hoping that Ben York will get back into practice today. He'll do some individual stuff. Hopefully, we'll be turned loose tomorrow and get 2 good days of practice in to be available for service on Saturday.
And then with Daniel Kalen, when you look back on film, how would you assess how he handled it coming in for his first real college football game?
Yeah, I mean, I thought he had probably 2 plays where he probably wants back. Other than that, I mean, he did his job. I think we put him in a tough spot down there on the goal line. You know, it really kind of was a deal where we were trying to disguise a little bit, but there was a pass option on it. And looking back, you probably say, okay, don't put the young quarterback in that situation. Just shift it back in and go with the actual play call. So that really wasn't on him. And then I thought he made the throws that were there. And then we had some unfortunate, matchups where we lost that resulted in some turnovers there. So I thought he handled it as good as he could. I know he wants about 2 plays back, but other than that, you look at it, we had the ball inside the red zone with 3 minutes left in the game, and then also with 36 seconds inside the 10-yard line, we had a shot to go win it. So he did what he needed to do to get us in those positions, right? Considering the circumstances. Now we all gotta do better to support him, and even if that's Chandler in there, we all gotta do better to support them and see, can we not make it where it comes down to that situation at the end of the game. But nonetheless, I mean, he jumped in there, battled back, thought he made some good throws. I thought he got the ball to the guys he was supposed to get the ball to convert some first downs. But the 3 turnovers, I think, is ultimately what got us. And I think one there, he'll learn. The one, he probably pulls it down and scrambles as opposed to setting up to throw. But the other one, we get beat up front. That doesn't give him the time to get that ball off. And then the last turnover wasn't related to him. That's more of a coaching and a fundamental thing that we got to continue to work on.
Just back to Chandler, since he's been in college football so long, would you need him to practice at some point this week in order to play, or could he just show up on Saturday if he's cleared by then?
Man, I think there's so much in a game plan that you need to practice, right, and be able to take some of those reps. And his position is about timing, so we would need him to get into practice. Is he a veteran guy that's played enough football that you could say, okay, he could play? Yes, but will his precision and his timing be there if he doesn't practice? So we're hopeful that by tomorrow we'll have him back in practice, rocking and rolling.
And then in between the first and second quarters of the game the other day, Sage Ennis was really getting into the rest of the offense.
Yeah.
Is that something you like, and were you surprised to see it? Did you enjoy seeing it? What was your kind of stance there?
So there was a lot of good, but then there was also some opportunity for me to teach. I don't know if you saw me kind of pull him to the side as well, just to kind of encourage him that in that moment when you're emotional, still make sure that it's the right message. And I think he understands that. And so we quickly had a moment where we got on the same page, and then he was able to go and relay the right message to the guys. Yes, you want to see passion. That's something that I've challenged the whole offensive unit with, in particular this week. Is I think that's kind of where we got to ramp it back up, right? I think we kind of got to a place where guys are just expecting somebody to make a play, and then what happened in the game is the play didn't get made. And so that's a lesson for everybody. Don't wait on somebody else to make a play. You have the intensity and the focus and the attention to detail, and you go make the play, and you want to be the guy that everybody's expecting to make the play. And that's really kind of where we got to go. Because when you look at the tape, offensively, it's not like it's a bunch of busted assignments. In the game of football, right, you're going to lose some one-on-ones every once in a while, because really what it comes down to is 11 one-on-ones, right, every single play. And we lost a couple one-on-ones in inopportune times that resulted in some turnovers that cost us possessions. Whereas in the past, when we lost a one-on-one, it didn't have that dramatic of an impact on the play. But I told him, I said, man, when we're at our best is when we're aggressive, we're attacking. Man, we got an intensity about ourselves, and I think that's what you saw in Sage, just trying to get the guys to, hey, man, let's go play to our standard and not wait around.
On the
on the Wake punt return, it looked like the
Yeah.
return man initially was not even going to field it, but then it took that bounce toward the goal line and he picked it up. What were the breakdowns on that? Or
Yeah.
what would you like to have seen happen that didn't happen?
So I thought Wake did a good job of changing up their scheme. You know, they went to a basically a field double team. So they double teamed the three guys to the field, and we were kicking the ball into the boundary, right? So the hope was that they were going to be able to field the ball and get it back to the field. The ball bounced, right? We had two guys that relaxed, which is on the coaches. Man, we got to do a better job of coaching them to play all the way through. Like, that's a natural tendency that ball hits the ground. You think that everybody's going to relax, but you got to remember, as a punt coverage team, it doesn't matter if the ball hits you, right? On the return team, you don't want the ball to hit you, right? So on the punt team, okay, you keep playing and you go get the ball and you hand it to the ref. And so I think we had two guys that kind of pulled up when they saw the ball hit the ground. One of our contained guys to the field lost contain. So we were intending to try and force it into the boundary and have the one-on-ones that we won into the boundary to down the football, and then the doubles would be coming late from the field in case it got out. And so what happened is, we relaxed a little bit. We weren't there in position to down it. We had two opportunities. We missed a tackle there, and before you know it, the ball was on the sideline. And then the last thing, and we got to do a better job of coaching and making sure, our punter fully understands that in that situation, don't let the ball stay on the sideline. Force it back to contain, and then we might have had a chance to down the ball right there at the 50-yard line, but we took the wrong angle, right, and we got blocked, and then now it's on the sideline, and we only had one defender coming from the backside that couldn't down it. So a lot of opportunity for us to coach better, from a fundamental standpoint, from a schematic standpoint, from a situational awareness standpoint, and then an opportunity for, our coverage guys to grow just from that costly lesson.
Focus obviously is on preparing for Duke, but Thursday marks the third anniversary of the November 13th tragedy. Could you detail what plans the team has for Thursday?
Yeah, so tough week for a lot of folks. Still got about 20 players on the roster that were here in 22. And so it's going to be a tough time for them. Actually, the next 2 weeks is going to be tough because we got the sentencing hearing coming up next week during the bye week. But there'll be an opportunity to go over to the chapel and observe a moment of silence, and then they'll ring the bells, and then after that, go down to the little memorial site outside the Arts Building and visit the tree, place some flowers, pay our respect, and then come back over here and get ready for practice. And so that's all optional, right? Because if we only got 20, that means we got about 100 guys that weren't here. They own it, they carry it with us, but they may not be fully understanding. So it won't be something that'll be a team mandatory activity, but we will make sure during the time of the day that we don't have anything football related, so that anybody, staff or player that wants to pay their respect will have an opportunity to go over to the chapel or go over to the memorial site, or just grieve and pay their respects in their own way.
5 players today wear 115 or 41. Mm-hmm. What went into the decisions to keep those numbers active, and who gets to wear them?
Yeah, so I just thought that it's important that those numbers are always visible within our program on the field, to make sure that one, we're reminded of the legacy that we have to carry forward with Lavelle, Devin, and Deshaun, and then also for the fans, for the families, always an opportunity to see those numbers. And so when you look at who wears those numbers, so right now you got Sudarian Harrison, went to the same high school as Lavelle, and so he was chosen early on to wear that number. And then Keandre was another young man that was here that wears number 1, and when he went down for the year, I wanted that number to be on the field, right? And so I asked him, would he be comfortable if I let somebody else wear that number for the season? And there was 2 guys that I thought that would epitomize what it meant to wear that number, to represent the program, represent Lavelle and his family the right way, and that was either Clary or James Jackson. And so James Jackson, stepped up and said, hey, I want to do it. I want to wear that number. And obviously he was an individual that was here, that was teammates with all 3 of those young men. And then we got 15, Hunter, is a new guy, but just the character that he has and his willingness to want to come here and be a part of this, considering, where he was coming from. So he was a really good option there. And then also we had Dylan Newton-Short, a younger guy from in-state that through all of that chose to come to Virginia even after the fact. So I thought he would be a great representation. And then, we know the connection between Will Bettridge and Deshaun, high school teammates. And so he's been wearing that number in honor of Deshaun and the Perry family since the tragedy happened.
Prior to the bye week, it seems you guys were very successful in the red zone. And then after the bye week, it seemed like 15 trips, 5 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
What have you seen change there, and what has a common theme that you've noticed in those red zone trips?
Yeah, just lack of execution, the game of inches, the details of what we do, and it comes back to people have now decided to defend it and not give us the easy stuff that we were able to take away early in the season. Obviously, you got so many things that people don't see. Sometimes you're able to get those things. Now it comes down to just execution. Like you look at the last play, right? Because I got a question about the last play of the game. One thing right there is depths are important, right? So if we get our depth, then we can possibly dot the ball on the receiver in the end zone for a touchdown. If we come out of our break and we're running, full speed as fast as we can, and that ball is thrown 2 yards inside the back pylon, then we have a shot. We didn't quite get our depth. We didn't quite, get out of the break the way we needed to get to that spot. And so now your timing's off, your spacing's off, and that's a missed opportunity. And then again, the other red zone trip for us was. That was on the coaches. We should have taken the throw option off of that play call and just used the formation adjustment and go with the design run right there. So that's on us one time. So just little things that we can coach better and we can execute better because again we're not sneaking up on anybody now. Right, details are going to be what separates us, and we just haven't quite been on the details. Like again, are they doing their job? Yes. Are they going to where they're supposed to go? Yes. But now it's not the what I do; it's the how I do it. That's going to be important because you're playing, championship caliber football late in the season.
You talked about a lot this season, kind of leaning on the senior leadership when we talk about handling success. Just after the loss on Saturday, have you seen them kind of approach that with the team and maybe kind of pick that mood back up and focus back on the goals that you guys do have the rest of the season?
Yeah. So just right back to work, man. They lead by example out at practice, and so when we get out to practice, there's a great sense of urgency from the leadership to lead and not let what happened on Saturday now impact the way that we work on Monday through Friday in preparation for Saturday's game. Good conversation in the senior leadership meeting before the team meeting on Mondays. The guys understand that we still got everything ahead of us, right? And that we earned the result that we got, right? You tip your hat to Wake Forest. They won the game, but we still feel like Virginia beat Virginia because we were uncharacteristic in some areas. And so now we got to fix it, go back to work, and everything rises and falls on leadership. And it's important that they set the example. And Ja gave a great message after practice when we broke it down with the team and to refocus the guys and to really challenge them on our core values. Because that's really what it's about is making sure that we stay aligned with our core values. And we kind of got off a little bit, and we pointed it out, and we owned it. I mean, there were some times where the effort was good, but not good enough, right? It wasn't championship level. And then the A is accountability, and we can't point the finger at anybody, right? We didn't get it done, so we got to go back to work. And I think they completely understand that, and I'll be excited to see today when we got the pads on, kind of where the energy level is. I anticipate that it's going to be one of our better Tuesday practices of the year.
What are some of just those main things you want to hone in on practice the rest of the week before going up against Duke?
Yeah, so like I said, offensively is details, right? It's okay. Let's make sure we're at 6 and not 5. right? Let's make sure that our alignment is on the hash and not 2 yards outside the hash or a yard inside the hash, right? Let's have some pre-snap intensity so that I can pre-snap read, and if I see a copping defensive end, like a defensive end getting ready to drop, I already have an anticipated plan of release, right? Just those next level things to get to where we want to go, right? That's what I want to see offensively. Back to the high level of strain that we've been having on special teams. Getting honed in on the many adjustments we're going to have to make for their punt team. Defensively, man, let's get back to taking the ball away. You know, I think it's the first time in like 6 games we didn't have a takeaway, right? Let's get back fanatical about, you know, trying to strip the ball out. Let's get the plan down. We got to figure out a way to get to their quarterback because, man, he's really good. And if you give him time, man, he'll pick you apart. So we got to get the plan down so that we can be disruptive up front. So there's a lot of things schematically that we got to get locked in on. And then there's also, you know, the driving of the core values to make sure that we don't get away from what's actually gotten us to where we are.
Coach, you just mentioned the pass rush. You didn't get a sack
Right.
in this past game. You didn't force a turnover. Obviously, the defense was really good. What did you see when you looked at why you weren't getting home or getting the pressure you had?
Right. Well, I think eventually they said we're not going to try and throw it. Right. I think we were able to disrupt the quarterback enough, right, to make them more one-dimensional, right? So if you're one-dimensional, now you're defending the run more than you're defending the pass. So even though we didn't get the sacks, I thought we were disruptive enough with the quarterback to limit them to not much throwing and only 64 yards. And then the turnovers, you know, we guys got to continue to be fanatical about stripping at the ball, and when it's in jeopardy, right? We've gotten more interceptions, right? But with the ball not being in the air, now you got to force the fumbles, and we had one on the ground, right, on the 4th down stop. We didn't get it, but to me that's a turnover, right? When you get a 4th down stop, especially, you know, in the goal line right there with no points, that's a stop to me.
And then they were, I think, 2 for 12 on 3rd down until the end. And
Yeah.
then when you went back and looked at those plays, was it fatigue? What allowed them to convert when they hadn't all night?
Yeah, some quarterback run stuff, right? Accounting for the quarterback. So there's some things from a coaching standpoint that we gotta do a better job from, especially with the empty plan, to make sure that we got the quarterback accounted for and he can't convert. And you got to down the football. When you got a guy, you know, at the line of scrimmage, you got to make that tackle. You can't miss a tackle. You can't let him get out of a tackle and convert. So I thought that was probably the biggest, you know, thing that I challenged the defense is in the 4th quarter. You know, our 3rd down defense was not what it was, and it resulted in 3 points. But still, it was good enough to keep us in the ball game. So I thought it was more not necessarily fatigue. It's just, man, that strain in the 4th quarter, and then having a plan for the quarterback and the quarterback run type stuff.
In your opinion, is this the best pass offense you've faced this year?
I would say so. Yeah, they do a really good job. It starts with the quarterback, but I think what probably doesn't get, you know, as much attention would be the front. Like they don't let many guys get to the quarterback, right? So he has time, he has clean pockets, he doesn't feel a ton of pressure, and then he can make every throw, and you can tell that he does a very good job preparing. Right, because he's anticipating throws, and then he's managing the RPO game really well, and getting them some of the gifts, so to speak, the little 5-yard throws when they may overload the run. So he does a really good job, and then the receivers, man, they do a great job with their break point technique. They come back down the stems, right? They create some separation so that the quarterback doesn't have to be perfect with his throws. They make him right if they need to. He's very accurate on the run. Man, he's got great touch with his ball. So he does a lot of really good things that are natural that you can't necessarily coach, but you love to have a guy that can do it.
You told us earlier in the year that it was a matter of all your young secondary guys, or not young, but all the secondary guys getting accustomed to one another and working out communication. What are you most proud of about that group, and what has made them so difficult to
Right. So I think first and foremost, they got a very strong bond. You see those guys together, man. They're not counting their reps. They're making them count because we're rolling multiple guys at multiple positions, subbing in and out. They're very unselfish. They spend a lot of time preparing on their own. They're taking pride in their communication, and I think that's evident in some of the big play busts that we were seeing early in the season. Now you're not seeing as many of those because they're more comfortable with the communication. I think the corners, especially in this last game, are coming up aggressively and fitting the run and then downing the football. Getting the ball on the ground. Same thing with the safeties. I think we're doing a better job collectively of downing the football. So it starts with their relationship, their preparation, and then, man, they're starting to develop a little bit of swagger to them.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about your corners, too, the three you're playing, Carnley, Platt, and Robinson. Seems like they've been pretty good in one-on-one coverage with pass breakups. What are you noticing there in those particular spots where they're out on an island?
Right, just trusting their technique, that they're trusting their technique and trusting their preparation, right, and not panicking, right. And I think what you're starting to see is now a lot more confidence, and hopefully that's going to now progress into not just being in position but taking the ball away. Right, so I thought they did a really good job because there was some 50-50 balls that were thrown up. That's either a catch or a pass interference, and I thought they did a good job of just trusting their speed, trusting their technique, staying in phase, and then being able to create the breakup at the last second. But you can see that they're really starting to get comfortable with the techniques that they're being taught. They're trusting it, and it's producing some results for them.
And then Duke's running game, they use the two running backs. How tough are those two guys?
Yeah, so I know everybody wants to talk about the pass offense, but when I look at them, I see a very balanced offense, right, which makes them dangerous. And I think they complement each other. So they're able to run the ball because they can throw the ball, and they can throw the ball because they can run the ball. And what you see is their offensive line does a really, really good job of creating space. And then their backs anticipate where the space is going to be, and then they run downhill. Right, they come downhill, and the young guy, 20, the freshman, man, he's going to be something special, I think, in this league because he's got big playability, he's got breakaway speed, but he's not afraid to run between the tackles, he's not afraid to run behind his pads. He's got the ability to stop and start, and then they got a great changeup in number 4. Man, he's coming downhill. He's a thumper, but if you got to be careful if you don't wrap him up, man, he's going break some explosive runs. And so they got a really, really good 1-2 punch, but they do a great job formationally. Right, they do a great job. They're very well coached up front, and they knock those double teams off the ball, which creates space, and then that back is coming downhill. It's kind of off of the same tree that I came from with Gus and Chad, and it's designed to be a physical smash mouth type of play, and then off of it, right, they can create the play action. They can run all the RPOs, and then they can have the naked boot action, off of it once you fully commit to it. So they're going to challenge you to load the box, to stop the run because of what they can do with their 6 in the box, including the tight end, and then that's going to force you to be in some one high structures where you get some one-on-one coverages, and the quarterback can put the ball over the top. He can dot the back shoulder, right? He can hit the slant, the bang eight, the out. I mean, he can make every throw.
As you continue to prepare for Duke this weekend, what are you bringing with you from last week's loss, and what are you letting stay in the past?
Yeah, well, the result is in the past, right? We can't go back, and we can't change that. And so hopefully it's a motivation to man, just be at your best, right? Because when you're not at your best in this league, it's gonna cost you, and it's gonna cost you some hard lessons. And so that's what we're taking with it, is that every game from here on out is a championship level game. And so we got to have that mindset. We got to have that level of effort, that level of intensity. And again, not to say that the guys weren't playing hard, because we had a lot of guys that were playing hard. It's just it takes a little bit more. Right, this time of year, right? Like, and I told him before last week's game, man, everything we did up to this point doesn't matter, right? Like, you got to go in the month of November, you got to go to another level, right? You got to find something deeper inside of you, right, to push you, to motivate you, right? Because it's easy to say, oh, well, we know what it takes, right? Well, you're going to get everybody's best. And so you got to have your best. And each week that bar is raising. So that's what we're taking into this game. And then really just an opportunity for us to go 1-0, get back to that feeling that we enjoy in the locker room. But we're learning from last week that, man, you get what you earn. And so if you don't have your best, then you're not going to, you get what you earn. But if you bring your best, then, you know, you take control of the situation and you don't leave it up to chance or to somebody else.
How helpful is it to have a experienced veteran at center in Brady Wilson, regardless of who the quarterback is?
Oh, man, it's huge because he directs traffic in that box. And I know, man, I feel bad for the offensive line, right, because they get blamed for so much, and not many people understand the life that they live, right? It's literally a game of inches. And so 6 inches, right, in the trenches changes 5 people. And the center has to know how to get all 5 people aligned, going in the right direction when the 6 inches change. And a lot of times they change as the ball is being snapped. And so now the center has to direct traffic, right? And then, or it's right before the snap. And so then now, like, just imagine you're telling 5 guys what to do based off of 6 guys that are on the other side. And every time they move 6 inches, you have to know the adjustment, right, to be able to tell those guys what to do, run or pass. And then you got to go execute it, right? And then it's happening, like, with a bunch of physicality, and it's moving, right? And then you might have a guy you got to block that's over here, and you don't get to see him, but you got to slide to him knowing that he's going to be there, trusting that you've told the guy next to you what to do so that when you get there, right, you have a chance. So, I mean, you know, they get beat up. They get blamed for a whole lot, right? Like, I think the week before we had 2 sacks, and they were on the quarterback. They weren't on the offensive line, right? But the offensive line got blamed for it, right? Or we don't run the ball well enough. We average 5.4 a carry. The offensive line gets blamed for it, right? And, you know, and then some of the best block plays that I mean, they knock them off the ball, the quarterback throws the RPO, right? And so now they got a tough world. And then a lot of times they get put on a one-on-one, right, with a guy that's quicker, just as strong, right? And he wants that quarterback, and you got to stop him. So when you got an experienced center, what it does is it calms everybody down, right? And the guys around them, you know, kind of have a leader to tell them, like, the direction that we're going, so now everybody can be coordinated, if that makes sense. That's why it's important to have an experienced center, because he's directing traffic, and a lot of times the quarterback is counting on him, right, to help him, right? So the quarterback is counting on the center from a protection standpoint to help him understand what's going on in the box, right? Because the quarterback now has to see the entire field. Right, so he's got to know what all 11 are doing, and he's got to know what all 11 on the other side are supposed to do, or what they're showing him that they're doing, and he's got to make all the adjustments. So he needs that center to be able to kind of control traffic in that box so that he can focus on what's going on down the field and feel protected, if that makes sense, right? And then the running back's got to get information from the center and the offensive line so that he can fit into the equation when we get into to pass protection. So, man, just a shout out to my offensive line guys, because they live a tough life, man. Nobody wants to recognize them. Everybody wants to throw them under the bus, right? And they got the hardest doggone job, right? And a lot of times they're being matched up. Like, I think his last name is Williams, Wesley Williams. Yeah, he's a dude, right? I don't know if y'all watch him play, but, man, he plays hard. He plays physical. Right, and so now our guys got to go block him, and then guess what? Then they're going to get matched up on Mr. Anthony. That's a 6'6" guy. That's a stud, and then that changes, right? And guess what? All 5 of those guys could end up blocking, you know, any one of those guys. So it's a tough life that they live, right? But they enjoy their job. They take a lot of pride in it. And I'm just glad that Brady's, you know, starting to kind of really get back to where he was prior to the injury. Definitely need him to help from a leadership standpoint and really just challenging the guys, which he does. But I want him to be a little bit more vocal at times, because I know he can bring that element to what we do offensively. All right, appreciate it.